Okay, welcome to section D. And this section is about multiplication. So the rules for dealing with negatives and positives in multiplication are different to addition and subtraction. They're summarised here. Probably the one worth noting here is when you multiply two negative numbers together, you get a positive. But there is an easier way to remember how all this works. And that is, if you have an odd number of negatives, the answer is negative, and if you have an even number of negatives, the answer is positive. So here's a couple of examples. So here we've got two positive numbers, so the answer is positive. Here we've got one negative number, so the answer is negative. Here we've got one negative number, the answer is negative. Here we've got two negative numbers, the answer is positive. Here we've got two negative numbers, so the answer is positive. And this next one we've got three negative numbers, so the answer is negative. So, multiplication of fractions. So if you happen to have any mixed numbers, I would convert them into fractions. Now how it's done is that we multiply the numerators together and we multiply the denominators together. So we don't use a common denominator or anything. That's only for addition and subtraction. So multiplication of fractions is different. Okay, so let's work this out. So here I've got 2/3 multiplied by 4/5. So you multiply the top numbers together and you multiply the bottom numbers together. So we have 3 times 5, which is 15, and we have 2 times 4, which is 8. You can't lower this down, so that's it. Let's look at this next one here. 2/3 multiplied by 6 bits. And what you can do before multiplying is see whether you cancel out a number on the bottom with the number on the top. Just makes the whole process simpler. So 3 goes into 6 twice. You find if you simplify as you go along, the question's actually easier to do. Okay, so nothing else cancels. Remember, you can only cancel with a number on the bottom with a number on the top. So answer is 4/5. So this one here is when I've got a negative number involved, what I do is work out whether the answer is going to be negative or positive straight away. And I just stick the negative sign out the front instead of carrying it along with the number. So I've got one negative sign there. So you know your answer is going to be negative, so I just stick it out the front. So if I had 2 negative signs there in the sum, the answer is positive, I don't keep on writing down the negative. Only a matter of time before you accidentally cross it or forget about it. So I'd simplify before I do anything. Yeah, 5 goes into 25 5 times. 2 can go into 4. Goes into it twice. You could have went with that other 2 if you wanted to. So write it out again. Remember your negative sign. Nothing else cancels. So just multiply the numbers together. So on the bottom I'll have 3. Remember your negative sign. So 20. I'd leave the number like that. I wouldn't write it as a mixed number or anything. Negative 20/3 is fine. Okay, here's a negative to do. Remember, sort out the negatives first, especially that one there. So, you know the answer's positive, so you don't need to write down anything after that. Multiplication of decimals. It's a real process doing this. Multiplication of decimals. It's more of a method than anything else. And first thing I do is work out whether my answer is negative or positive. Then you multiply the numbers together without the decimal points in it. and then you place the decimal point in after you multiply the numbers, and it's based upon how many digits past the decimal point. So we're going to do a few examples to show you how this works, and let's see if we can do a couple of examples that really show the technique. So here we are. So what I do first, look at the first one, it's going to be positive. The answer is going to be positive. So I just write down the question, and then I count how many digits past the decimal point for each, for the question I'm working out. So I've got 1, just multiply the numbers together. Now we need to put in our decimal point, so I count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 5 digits past the decimal point. So I start from this end, and I need to count in 5 digits in. So I've added the zeros. So you need to have 5 digits there. So the decimal point goes after that 0. So working through our next one here. So the answer is going to be negative. Only one negative. Now I multiply the numbers together without the decimal point in it. So I multiply the whole number by 3. So it'd be 3 times 2, and so on. There we are. When I multiply the next number, it's like multiplying by 20, so I put down the 0. So it's 2 times 2, 2 times 2, 2 times 0, and 2 times 3. Add them together. Now what I need to do is put my decimal point back in, so I go back up with the question and I count how many digits past the decimal point. So there's 5, so I need to have 5 digits past the decimal point in my answer. So I count from the back end, if you want to call it that. And write my answer in. And there you are. Make sure you practice the technique. Remember to put your negative sign in, hey? Easily forgotten. Here's a few activities for you to do. Remember there's more questions in the back of the book. To attempt.